All right, welcome back to another episode. It's been a long time since we did a podcast together, Edo, and it's nice to be back.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have this episode.
Very good. So, in today's episode, we're going to break down the Bitcoin price, the current price, because as you've seen, Bitcoin has taken a bit of a tumble, and the rest of the altcoin space has absolutely been wiped out. Some coins are down 50, 60%. But in this episode, we're going to analyze the Bitcoin technicals, the Bitcoin price, look at the bearish and the bullish aspect, and where are we in the cycle of Bitcoin, and is it over? Are we going into a bear market, etc.? So it's going to be good. Redo, what do you think?
It's very exciting. It's also given what has happened lately in the crypto market. So being able to discuss it together, as always, all these conversations we are having here are not really taken as financial advices, but we are just having this conversation because what has happened is very interesting to be discussed in the market cycle.
Yeah. So I don't know what's your take on the current price. I know we speak a lot about our thoughts about the price, and after seeing the last couple of weeks, what's happened with Bitcoin. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, for me, the I was I won't say I was surprised, but I was kind of surprised to see how your prediction was exactly what happened.
And which was what?
Yeah, when we during one of our last video, when Bitcoin was well over 100, you were saying that there is a CME gap that will one way or the other that will be filled. You say that no, the CME gap. I guess if I quote here exactly, you say that the CME gap it tends to be filled sooner or later, and this is exactly what happened this week. Even at the beginning of this week, also you made another video where you also talk about this CME gap and seeing that prediction happening exactly a few days later. For me, was I will not say I'm surprised, but it's kind of happy to see that some of the conversation we are having they do happen exactly in this market cycle.
Yeah, I mean the CME gap. I've been speaking about this. I don't know if you remember all the way back in November, when the CME gap was created back then. It's when we had that huge pump. I'm just going to show the technical. So we had that huge pump from the beginning of November all the way. I mean, we went all the way up to 108,000 by 17th of December, and that CME gap was created on the 10th. And the CME gap was around $4,000-$5,000. The gap itself from 77K, approximately 77 and a half, all the way up to 81,000. And we spoke about it a lot. Well, I did anyway, and others. But from November 11th all the way until February 28th, and yeah, so a long time to wait for this CME gap to be filled. But it did happen 90% of the time. That's what usually happens, sooner rather than later, we would say. I mean, this was a 3-month wait. Normally it happens a little bit quicker, but it hasn't technically been filled up yet completely. We came all the way down to 78,500, and it still has about $500 to be filled up if we're going to say it's 100% filled. Okay. But it's 90% filled up.
I mean, it's really nice to say that you made this prediction well in advance, like 3 months in advance, when Bitcoin was well over the 100,000 K. So yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
I think that the point is as well, it's just being objective in the market. We don't want to be moon boys or too bearish. We want to try and give an objective analysis on both sides. And the situation was, and I mentioned multiple times, even though I believe that we're going to go to 200,000 this cycle, I still think that the CME gap was still sitting down there in the back of my mind. It could be, and this happened. I mean, we pretty much filled up. And right now, as you can see on my screen, we have, this is what I spoke about on Monday on my channel. So you can follow me on LL Crypto on YouTube. And just remind everybody your channel header.
is KDF Ken. I guess it's a little bit complicated, but we will put the name of our channels in the description below.
Very good. So on my show on Monday, and then I did one on Friday. Just the last few weeks, I've been spending more time creating more shorts than videos. But now that things have moved, I think the reason for that since the start of the year is because everything was so boring. Just took a little bit of a break, bringing out 1 or 2 videos a week. But now that we've moved, I'm going to try and come out with 3 to 4, maybe even 5 videos a week as things are heating up with the end of the bull market. On my side, anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, on my side, I've been making other videos in tech. It's true, we took a little bit of a pause talking about crypto stuff here. But you know, as the development is now a little bit, let's say, more exciting, that's why we are back.
Yeah, and for me, I like to be more consistent during the bear market when everybody kind of goes away. That's when real success is created during those moments, because then when the bull market comes, everybody's piling in. So I just took a little bit of a breather over the past 2 months, ready for this really. But yeah, if you stuck with me over the last 2 months with those few videos that I brought out, then you've seen that I've spoken about the CME gap. So right now it looks like I mentioned on Monday and Friday on my video, we're having this V-shape recovery. So if I just draw that, so I've drawn a rectangle for everybody to see the CME gap, and I did mention that we possibly come down, which we have. Obviously we haven't 100% filled the gap, and I mentioned that we could most likely, because it was so harsh, the drop, normally would have if we're in the bull run still, then would have a spring up and would have this V shape, and V shape is actually happening right now. You can see it right there. I don't know what you think to that.
So, I mean, with this V-shaped recovery, do you mean that because Bitcoin will go all over to 200,000 this cycle, or it's just a small recovery before going down again?
Well, first of all, for everybody, my target, and it always has been, is a very conservative price of 120 to 150,000. That's where I think that the top. That's where I'll be looking at coming out of my altcoins, because then my positions, hopefully, when Bitcoin goes to its new all-time high at that price, then the altcoins are going to explode. Microcaps will go a lot higher. So if I just put a little support there, or some resistance, and then around 50k. So I'll be looking at these levels here, where I'll be joking out. But if you just look at like the past cycle, if we go back to 2021, I think it was the last cycle.
Yeah.
During the parabolic run up, maybe you remember this, it was January we had, and February I had a pullback. And that pullback, if you remember, I don't know if you remember, Edo, how free a pullback.
So I'm not facing the screen right now, but if my memory is okay, I guess in January were we around 50k?
So January the 1st, we came all the way up to 40,000.
Okay.
This was 2020, at the end of 2020. And then by 1st of February, approximately, we were down to 30k. So that was a drop of
20k, 30%. Yeah. And then before it went back.
And then when we came down 30%, we had that V-shaped recovery. And we went from 30k all the way up to 64,000, which was a 125% increase. Then, of course, we had that double top. So we dropped 50% after that through the summer, came all the way back down to 30,000, which is bang on the V-shaped recovery of the 2020, going into 2021, January. That was literally right on the money. We could see how perfect it was. And then I had that rally towards the end of the year in November, where we topped out at 71,000. And then we went into that bear market. So the V-shape, or the pullback, was 30%. Then the V-shape recovery, and then it exploded like a spring coiling up, 125%. That was the last cycle. This cycle, hear me out, if it happens similar, That means that we are right now. Do you know how much we've gone down?
So now you come down, I would say 20%.
30%.
Yeah, 30%.
It's exactly the same like the last cycle. Exactly, almost exactly the same, and almost a carbon copy. Okay, we're in March now. This time it happened in February. I think if we look at the monthly returns, January was 10%, almost 10% increase. This time it's happened in February, and yeah, I mean that was just looking at 2020, looking at the monthly chart. Yeah, so we've gone down almost 18%, 17, 18%. For the monthly returns, but we're down over from the course of the top to now it's 30% down. So if we go from where we are now and do 125%, well, where would that take us?
So say it again. So now we are at 78,000.
We are currently at 85,000, but just for the sake of argument, the bottom, the local bottom over the dump that we had last week was 78,000.
Yeah. So if it's 78,000, and then you are saying that an increase of how many percent?
125%.
Yeah, I mean 135. It takes us well above 150.
It takes us to 174,000 US dollars, which I honestly don't think it's not. I mean, it's not being like a moon boy or anything. I think that's still quite conservative, but I'm still looking at 120 to 150,000. So I don't want to be one of those guys that you can't predict the top. That's the thing. Even if we go beyond 200,000, fantastic. But you should be looking at, I mean, not financial advice, of course, but I will be looking at definitely 150,000.
From between now and March and May, sorry.
May.
Yeah, between now and May.
So it's only 8 weeks. I think very, very quickly over the next 8 weeks. If you look at what's happened over the last 2 months, I mean, it was quite stable. And then all of a sudden, we've had this drop. Last year, from March all the way through to October, it was so boring. It was just sideways action for 6 to 8 months. But now the difference is usually when we have a bull run after the halving. So the halving of last halving was back in May. It's usually 365 days. It's 1 year of a bull run, and the closer we get to the end of it, the more parabolic it is, and then we go back into the bear market. So technically, we've still got 2, maybe 3 months left. Or we have an extension where we do have a dip from May through the summer because everybody's having the summer holidays. People are away from work. And then come back into September, October to the end of the year, we have another, maybe a similar to last time, a double top, maybe even a triple top. I don't know, that's just my thought. But yeah, worst case scenario is that we have the last rally of the next 6 to 8 weeks. The best thing, we're extended until the end of this year, and then for sure 2026, my opinion, it will be the beginning of the bear market.
Okay, so you don't see, so I mean, let's take another scenario. So don't you see like Bitcoin going below 76 this year?
Obviously, I'm not going to rule anything out because, like I said, I want to look at both sides of it, and the CME gate hasn't completely been filled up. So if we were to fill it completely up, then the start of next week, hopefully it will happen really quick, and then we get a bounce off it. If not, the levels to look at, if everybody's looking at my screen, let's just go back here. The level to look at would be 72, 71,000. If we've got huge levels of support, we've got that 6 to 8 months sideways action that we had of support, which is sitting between 72,000 all the way down to approximately 60,000. So we've got like a $10,000 range where Bitcoin could just it could basically act to support. I don't see it going straight through that because it's huge support. I mean, you can see here we've got all this support, so it's very unlikely that we would break straight through it. I reckon, and I think the next bottom of the bear market will be these levels, 50 to 60,000. I don't think we'll ever go below 50,000 again. I think it's finished.
That's interesting. That's interesting. But you know what? I guess last year I was thinking somehow the Bitcoin could go below, as below as 30,000 K. So tell me, you think there is still like 1% chance that this could happen?
I mean, anything could happen. We could have a huge black swan event. We're going to talk about this on another episode with the geopolitics, what's going on, the financial system. So anything, you can't rule everything out. Anything is possible, for sure. I mean, I don't know whether 1% or whatever, but anything could happen. And look what happened at COVID. I mean, Bitcoin it went all the way down to 3K. I'm not saying that's going to happen now, but 30,000, that means it would have to go back. I mean, the levels of support now we have, all the steps down, it's very unlikely that we go to those levels ever again, unless World War III happened or something. Because after the 50K, you've got huge support all the way between 40 to 50K. And then there's a big drop off down towards the 30. So I don't think so. I don't think we'll ever go back down to those prices again, especially when you look at the whole history of Bitcoin, the way it's moved up, traveled up. It's highly unlikely that we ever come back down to those levels again. I mean, the bottom of the last cycle was 16K. The one before that was all the way down at 3,500. So we see the increase, even though the bottom was in. So for me, worst case scenario with 50K.
So the bottom line of this is, for those who are maybe waiting for 30,000 before jumping in the market, it could mean for those people that they will never jump in the market.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to jump into the market now, we'll talk about this. Will be the altcoins, which will be the best. But just looking at the Fibonacci retracement, I love this. The golden pockets is the 0.618 level, and guess where it's hitting the retracement?
Is it
from the I've taken from the bear market bottom of 16K to the top that we had at 108,000.
Yeah.
And so the golden rate, the retracement.
Let me guess, maybe 98
or 50,000.
50,000. Okay.
So for me, that effect 50,000 would be the next bear market, and so it hits right on the money, the 0.618 level. The 0.618 at 50 to 51,000. So that's why I'm saying, for me, that would be the most likely outcome if we go lower than now. But hopefully, like I said, I still think we're still, if you just zoom out, I mean, if you go back 2-3 months and you say to somebody that Bitcoin is going to be at 85,000, they'll probably laugh at you, because back then Bitcoin was still hovering around 70-something thousand. So it's perspective. You just got to zoom out when in doubt. Look at the bigger picture. Bitcoin has only ever traveled even higher. Okay, it's very parabolic at times, but it continues to make steps up.
And tell me, and if you use the Bollinger Bands, where are they up and down?
It depends what time frame I'm looking at. But last time I looked at the Bollinger Bands, that I brought out on my channel on Monday, was squeezing up on the daily. I think it was the daily or the 4-hour. And I did say on my channel, yeah, it was here. I mean, it was crazy on my channel, because the Bollinger Bands were squeezing up here. And I said on Monday that there's going to be a big move, either up or down, because the Bollinger Bands indicate a 50-50. Like an indication, so you don't know if it's going to go up or down. Usually you look at other indicators to see if we're in a bullish trend, the bearish, and then if there's more things, for example, going for the bearish aspect, most likely the Bollinger Bands are telling you it's going to go lower. And that's what happened. That literally, I published that video, looked at the Bollinger Bands on the Monday, Tuesday all the way to Thursday. We crashed down, I think around 10% or 20%. So it was a big move. Right now, the Bollinger Bands are opening up again on the daily, the weekly as well. It's okay, and the 4-hourly, they're squeezing up again. So we'll see. But I reckon, and I think from tomorrow, just get the weekend out of the way. Now we're in spring. People are a bit more optimistic. Spring is coming. The emotional aspect, it starts changing. People want to invest more. Again, it all depends on what's happening in the political world of things, but we'll talk about that in another episode. But I think, we'll most likely we'll have this V-shaped recovery, and we're going to start going towards our 120 to 150,000.
Well, those are interesting predictions. So we see how they all play out.
Very good. So that's the first episode coming back together for the podcast, just looking at the Bitcoin price. Join us next time with, we're going to take a deep dive into the altcoins, look at the Fear and Greed Index. We'll look at the Bitcoin dominance, and most people are here for the altcoins, more likely the altcoins than Bitcoin. So stay tuned for the next episode where we'll look at the altcoins, especially in AI and gaming, and maybe we can look at the top 10, top 20 altcoins and see where we're at in terms of an altcoin cycle market. So thanks for sticking right to the end. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and see you next time.
Yeah, see you. Bye.